everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the worlds of pop culture and personal development. I'm your host, Jennifer Snook. I am so happy to be here with you today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. Here is what's been happening in mine. So you guys, I still don't know if my Ryan is going to make it for Thanksgiving. And what am I going to do about these Wicked tickets, you guys? What am I going to do? I don't know. But we can't start thinking about that. But I got to tell you guys, I'm so excited to see Wicked. But am I? Because am I even going to see it? I feel like I can't even get too excited about seeing it because I just don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, let's get Christy on the line because we have her back after a few weeks of being away. And let's get our girl.
Hi.
I'm so happy to see you. Cheers.
I'm so happy to be here too.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I've been traveling and
yes,
living.
You have been all over the place. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Truthfully, we're about to be 53 years old. We got to get that traveling in now.
Yeah.
Before we're too old to walk.
Got to kick and stretch.
You got to kick and stretch. Don't be hilarious. So did you watch that Mike Tyson fight by chance?
I did. I love seeing him.
I know. I was so ready for that. Maybe it was just because it was like a nod back to our childhood. Or was that our childhood? Was that our childhood or our young adulthood?
Young adult. Teenage,
young adulthood, because I'd already had Carly when he bit Holyfield's ear. Yeah, I remember that very vividly.
And did you see he kept biting his glove?
Yeah, which I actually heard had something to do with him throwing the fight. Did you hear that?
No, they asked him why he was doing that, and he said that he has a biting deal.
Well, apparently in the last few days it's come out, at least that's what Mike told me, that it's come out that he threw the fight. Which,
well,
I mean, I don't understand why, but
it's rigged.
It's rigged. Yeah. I feel like all of those, there's a level of rig in all of it.
Yeah, because we watch UFC a lot and that's different. You know, that's
not rigged.
No, but Paul, what's his name? Jake Paul wants to fight Conor McGregor now. And I'm like, yeah.
Don't you think Conor McGregor would kill him?
Hopefully not hopefully, but hopefully.
I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean? I feel like that wouldn't even be a fair fight. I don't know anything really about the fighting world, but just the little bit I've seen of Conor McGregor, I mean, he's like a savage.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't wait.
Can you wait for the Oscars? Because Conan O'Brien is hosting. Are you a Conan O'Brien fan?
You know, when I think of him, I think of Joel McHale also. Like they're physically...
They are physically a little similar, but without the flaming red.
I'm in the middle of the road, but I heard that I think he's a safe bet to host.
I just think that I think that the Oscars just has a tendency to run so boring that it matters. Like who you get up there can make that show or break that show.
Right.
Speaking of shows, what about this new episode or this new season of Beverly Hills? I want to know, like, how do you feel about it?
I'm very happy it's back, but it's so funny. You know, one season you like somebody and then the next season I'm not liking.
Guess what, sister? I had that same thing.
I'm like, am I liking Dorit?
I was liking Garcelle this.
That's right.
Because she had bugged me in previous seasons, but like this episode, I'm like, I am really feeling Garcelle now.
I always felt Garcelle, so I'm glad because she's amazing. But yeah, Dorit smoking that cigarette. Get me in the passenger seat immediately.
And also, I feel like this season is going to really bring a whole different vibe than it ever has because Dorit is such a main player and she's in such a different headspace than she's ever been in.
For sure.
She's been playing the part of PK's wife for so long. And now I feel like almost meeting the real Dorit. You know, before it was all just a show and all the pomp and circumstance and all the fucking phony British accent and all of it. You know what I mean? But I think now we're getting a way more authentic Dorit.
Exactly. She was on Watch What Happens Live last night, and even her accent was not as heavy.
Hey, what happened to the accent?
Yeah.
I will say though that it is a real thing because, you know, Gareth, for those of you that don't know, my ex-husband is from England and he had the accent, I mean, still has the accent in full force, right? And do you know that when I first started dating Gareth, truthfully, I know it was so bizarre. I was speaking, I couldn't control my English accent. It was right. I just started to do it again. It was absolutely crazy, Christy.
Bloody hell.
And it was so crazy. I'd be like, right, pop the boot, Gareth. And I remember Carla was there next to me one day and she goes, what the hell is that? Pop the boot, Gareth? But I became self-conscious about it. Like I would go to meet his friends with this, and I know his friends are thinking, who's the weirdo?
Who's the weirdo from California?
I should not be talking like that, but I'm telling you, it was this weird subconscious thing where I felt like maybe I had to match him for him to understand what I was saying. It was such a weird phenomenon. And it faded after probably it took a few months. It was weird. It was a very weird situation that happened.
I love it.
But anyway, back to the show. It opens with a montage of what everybody's been doing, what they're up to try and, you know, bring you up to speed. And everybody's busy living their own lives and doing their own things. And then we see Sutton show up at Jennifer Tilly's house, right?
Yeah, her awesome house.
Tilly, I think, is a pretty refreshing addition to Housewives.
I love her.
She is such a quirky little thing. And, you know, I love a quirk.
Same.
And also, I think that Sutton really is entertained by her because she's just she's quirky like Sutton, but also I think her I don't give a fuck attitude is like something that Sutton wishes she had, because she does. She has, you know, she's paralyzed by what people might think of her. So
yeah, her Southern belle.
Yeah, that whole Southern thing, even though she's really a fucking wild child inside. We all see it. We all know it.
Right.
I mean, did you see the video of her and Kathy Hilton in West Hollywood?
Oh, doing karaoke? I didn't, but I heard.
Yes, it was Michael Jackson. It was a Michael Jackson.
Of course it was.
Maybe Kathy. Man in the Mirror. I don't know, but it was so hilarious. And Kathy Hilton was knees bent, fully into it. Meanwhile, you got Sutton over there just doing some wackadoodle dance just in her own world. It was gold. It was.
I heard. I'm going to Google it. I love it.
So funny. Jen Tilly makes her a drink with, I guess, is vodka supposed to be old like wine?
I think
did we just learned that? I didn't
fine.
know.
Yeah, right. I thought the same thing.
I'm not a vodka drinker. I don't know.
I thought the same thing. I think it's fine.
So anyway, well, yeah, good for them. They've got old vodka. And then she talks about the fact that her kids are coming in for the summer, and she announces that her daughter Porter is going to be going to law school. And then she starts reminiscing on that trip that they took to Spain, which was an awesome trip. And then she blends in the Salvador Dali of it all, and how the two of those things would blend together beautifully to create this amazing surreal ball.
I love,
a surrealist ball.
I love Salvador Dali. There was a what is it?
Not Hello Dolly.
No. Oh, someone just wrote a book, Molly Shannon, called Hello Molly.
Oh. But you know, it's a big Broadway hit, Hello Dolly.
I know that. But Salvador Dali, he had an exhibition is that what it's called?
Exhibition.
In Monterey, and I went to it for my birthday last year, and it was amazing. Salvador Dali. So anyways,
legend.
What a great party to throw.
I mean, incredible. And what a great party to get invited to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To really, I mean, that's deep. I mean, you can go a whole lot of different ways. Then Sutton looks back on the last year and decides that she really wasn't being such a great friend to Kyle after all, and says that a few months after they wrapped, she actually went out to dinner with Kyle.
They both cried.
Yeah, and she said it was so super stressful for the first 10 minutes, but then they got through it. And did you hear her? This is why you have to love Sutton. She is funny. She says, "Well, the thing is, well, I mean, firstly, I was missing Kyle, and then secondly, I was, online shopping, and
Yes.
I was seeing things that would remind me of Kyle, and I really miss sending them to her."
I know. I know.
And all I thought was, I need to find a couple new friends with a whole lot of money and a lot of time on their hands.
Well, that's
So,
my bestie over here in the Bay Area. It reminded me of her. If we were not to be friends, she'd say, "Oh, Cece," they call me Cece. Cece would love this.
oh, that's so cute. And then we know that the two of them
Are good.
are good to go. They're golden now.
Yeah.
Then we meet Erica over at the design center, which I just have to tell the world, I cannot put eyes on that design center without getting hungry, because the very best lasagna in all of Los Angeles County, probably all of California, I will not go so far as to take this international, but the very best lasagna that you can get is right across the street from where they are at a restaurant called Zinc. That is Zinc, Zinque. And if you are in the neighborhood, good God, do yourself a favor. It is a vegetarian lasagna. It is better than, I love a meat lasagna, but this vegetarian lasagna is even better than any meat lasagna.
Wow.
So anyway, that's all I could think the whole time that she was in that place. I'm like, Erica, I
Get
hope
the lasagna.
the
well, she's on Ozempic, so I'm not sure that.
Well, I will tell you, I saw her just the other day and spent time with her, and she looks incredible.
Great.
She looks so good. She is I mean, she is just on point. She is hilarious and such good company. And I just adore her. She is such a doll.
Yeah, I'm happy for her.
So she's over at that design center, and then
Dorit comes to meet her.
And she says that the only reason that she is even at that design center is because she's finally ready to get new furniture, because that is still the furniture that she had in that Pasadena house with that wackadoodle husband of hers. And
right.
Only makes sense. It's about time.
Exactly.
I mean, she had a good reason to get rid of that furniture at the get, but I think she was being financially responsible and not shelling out money that she didn't need to.
Right. And it shows her with Dr. Jen, and Dr. Jen says,
yeah,
does this remind you? So yeah, it's time.
Yeah. So, but then once Dorit's there, she drops the big bomb on Erica that her and PK are officially Splitsville, USA.
Yeah.
And she was rattled.
Yeah, they both were. It shows.
She was rattled. And Dorit said, it's not lost on me, the fact that I'm sitting here telling Erica that my marriage is coming to an end, when she was the one who
predicted this at BravoCon.
Yes, exactly. And then Erica cries, and Dorit goes on to tell her that it's been no secret that we've been having problems for the last couple of years. And then she says, and in those couple of years, PK's just been pouring alcohol on his problems.
Right. She called him an alcoholic in this episode.
Yeah, she says it was causing crazy toxic behavior between the two of them, and she finally put her foot down and told him to dry out just for a week. And then I guess drying out for that 1 week started sober
transformation.
Yeah, started that sober journey for him. And then she says, and just last week, the two of them sat down and decided that they were going to actually separate. And I think what happened, I mean, it just seems like what happened is he stopped drinking and then was able to get clear about,
the problems,
the truth in their relationship, that I think that alcohol was helping him mask for a long time.
For sure.
Erica tells her that after she leaves here, she's going over to see Kyle, and she asks her how she wants her to handle that, which I thought was so good. Erica is so just like that. She handles everything. She can walk the line. Erica knows how to walk the line.
Yep.
Then we're over at Kyle's casa, where things are very different than how they were historically.
Yeah, the daughter moved out, and then Mo moved out a week later. So it's just her and the young one.
And I bet it does feel different. and so
it
quiet.
felt different watching her walk through it. You know, it was so alive and with children.
Yeah, rough. She said, and Kyle says that it's been rough. She says that this isn't where she expected her life to be, and then she tears up. You can tell that she's still emotionally
going through it.
Yeah. Then Erica shows up and tells Kyle that she was actually just with Dorit. And Kyle says that it's a shame that she hasn't, the two of them, you know, are still in this place, and says it should have cleared up sooner than it has.
Yeah.
And
they've
then
got stuff to iron out.
Yeah. Then they flash back to that texting debacle between the two.
Oh, right. Before the finale.
Yes, exactly. And Erica says, you know, this goes back to that reunion with Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you didn't stick up for her because Dorit was embarrassed about what Kyle said. You know, I mean, I can kind of get Dorit's, like, if in your heart you think that your relationship is something, and then this person you think you have this tight friendship with goes on their Amazon live and goes, yeah, you know, I don't know, she was really overplaying that. We really weren't that close.
Right. And it showed them most of the episode, them as couples together.
And they're, you know, I mean, like historically, who used that word?
Heather Dubrow.
Historically, they have been tight.
For sure.
So, you know.
Yeah, it hurt her feelings.
It hurt her feelings. And then we find out that the real straw that broke the camel's back for Kyle was when they were on the stage at BravoCon, and Andy asked Dorit to rank the Richard sisters, and she didn't say Kyle first, and that hurt. It's just like, it's like hurt feeling soup.
Right.
Just a bunch of hurt and pain that's just accumulated over the years from the two of them, misunderstandings.
Right. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
And then we catch up with Garcelle, who is currently in Atlanta, killing the game. I mean, amazing.
Producer.
Yeah, she's got lots going on in her personal life. She's got 2 productions going on. And then her son Oliver comes to visit, and that guy is, he's too much for me. Doesn't he look exactly like his mother? Oh my gosh, they are carbon copies of each other. It is wild.
And he has a new girlfriend that he brought.
Yes, of course he does.
Right?
Because I feel like he always has a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Garcelle tries to tell him that there's, you know, no need to rush, and he should probably take it slow. And then we see her on set, you know, doing all the things, and living the life that she says that she never imagined that she'd be dreaming at 50. And
in her 50s.
She really is. She says that, you know, coming up in Hollywood, she always heard that once you hit 40, it's over for you. And she says, and not only am I 40, but I am in my 50s, sweetie, and look at me, busier than ever.
Exactly. We're better. Yeah, it's different. Times are changing.
And then the big news hits, and we find out that Dorit and PK have officially now broken up.
Put it out.
Yeah, it is out on the blogs, as they say. We get all the girls' shocked reactions, and then we see that shot of Dorit flying down the canyon, smoking a cigarette. And I think that's the first time. I mean, you don't see people.
Nobody in Housewife.
I mean, history, like, I was wondering if, like, Luann, if we ever saw Luann smoke.
Right. I don't think so. I don't think so. But if so,
never this blatantly. I mean, this, like, this cigarette was the star of the show.
Yeah, she said the paparazzi were chasing her.
Yeah, and then we find out that she is actually flying over to Kathy Hilton's house.
Which her walking in to Kathy's house and seeing Kathy with the makeup and hair people and the things that she had on her lips, and she's drinking her through the straw, was amazing.
Amazing.
I love Kathy
I think
Hilton.
She was even getting her fingernails done at the same time. I mean, this was just like full. All she really truthfully had left was her voice.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Good thing that no one was working on her ears or her mouth, because she just needed to listen and speak and nothing else. She didn't even need to see her really, but she did. She saw her hair, loved it. That was hilarious. I gotta say,
I loved it.
That.
Kathy's a gem.
Kathy's comedy to me. That's what she is just sheer comedy.
Yeah.
And then also we see Dorit take particular note of the fact that the irony isn't lost on her, that she is driving over to receive support from Kathy Hilton,
who,
not her sister Kyle.
Right. Kyle, who did not even text her when she heard the news, but they're not friends.
They're not friends. And at this point, they're not, it would almost be like, you know what I mean? Like if you're if you're at a place like that with someone, you do run the risk of if you reach out and say something, then it looks like you're just doing it to say you did it.
Because you have to, right.
Right. Or because you think, it'll help get you in their good graces. And you don't want, that's not the case. So, I mean, I guess you just got to keep trusting your truth. Then we see PK meet up with Mauricio. Mo says, "Hey, bud, I saw that statement that you guys put out today."
Poor PK.
And PK, truthfully, with his voice shaking. I mean, it really felt, I don't think he's not that good of an actor to pull that off.
No, he's upset.
He says, "I'm not good."
Yeah, I'm not good, Mo. Poor. And they're both in the same boat.
They're both totally, isn't it funny that you can look back on life and just a short time ago, here they are on couples trips with people that, you know what I mean, with other friends. Would you ever imagine that, like, you could say like, oh, a year from now, we're going to be in a totally different situation.
Right.
But that's life, sweetie.
Life.
Mauricio tells him that he's been on this same track for about a year and that he's going to have his ups and downs. And that's just the way it's going to be. PK tells him that he got a very nice text from Kyle and that the two of them have been a huge example for him and how he's going to proceed through this, same experience. Then we cut back to Kathy's house and she asks Dorit if they've told the kids. Dorit says, no, there's no need, because there's nothing toxic, she says. We can still all do things as a family. She goes on to say that he has a sober coach. And then you see Kathy's eyes go like, sober coach? But yeah, she says he has a sober coach and that he's actually a full-blown alcoholic.
Right.
And Kathy is shocked.
And he has his own apartment. So the kids think that he's downtown working and everything is hunky-dory.
Hunky-dory, exactly. Kathy asks if they still get together. She goes, do you guys still get together, if you know what I mean? I mean, what is this, like 1950? Dorit goes, do you mean, do we have sex?
Right.
No. PK says back at the restaurant with Mo that when they first got together, they were like Bonnie and Clyde. She was my shadow. She'd come out and socialize, and then life got in the way. We had the babies, and then we moved. She says that I was away, but I was working, trying to sustain the lives that we led. And I really think that so much of this, the breakdown in communication, is probably, I think there were things like a bankruptcy and gambling debts. And you only have like gambling debts if you are like, I think, unless you have an addiction, you create gambling debts because you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole. And I think that he hasn't been doing well financially for a long time. And I think they've been living outside of their means for a really
the whole time.
The whole time. I really do. I think they've been living outside of their means the entire time. And I think he's just he feels like he can't communicate with her because he's terrified to tell her the truth. And what will that mean? Like, I think that's just
right.
I think they're both just not telling each other the truth.
They haven't been, but I think now it's happening.
It's happening. And I really wonder how in God's name, if they are in all of this debt, like is reported. I mean, there's always stuff coming out about their financial situation.
Right. And if the robbery was real.
Yeah. How do you at this level navigate? I mean, it's tough to navigate out of that.
Well, she can sell all her Chanel clothing.
She's going to have to sell all of her Chanel and she'll probably end up over here in the valley. Well, I mean, what's funny is she has progressed. I mean, she's in Encino now, which is in the valley. So she's going to just move deeper into the valley. Back at Kathy's, Dorit tells her that she wouldn't have chosen this route. She thinks there was a space in between, you know, where they were and a full separation, that where they could have worked on this. But she says she's annoyed that she's stuck by his side through a bunch of public scrutiny, like those bankruptcies, like the gambling debt,
the
like
DUI.
the DUI, exactly. She says, and now he's being so extreme. But she says the worst case scenario is that even if they don't end up together, the worst case scenario is that they remain best friends and co-parent their kids, both understanding that they're just not supposed to be married.
Right.
Which hopefully is the point that they're going to be able to come to. You know what I mean? Because from what it seems like, PK has no desire to get back. He's like, think we've crossed that, you know, too much water.
We're done. Yeah, let's move forward.
Then it's party time and all the women FaceTime each other. It's so hilarious the way they all FaceTime each other.
I thought the same thing. It was like, Kyle to her sister, and then Erica and Dorit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought the same thing.
But the topic on everybody's tongue was the whole Kyle and Dorit of it all. And then we're at the party. Dorit's not there for 10 seconds before she almost falls in her face before she even gets through the door. Did you see that?
Those shoes.
My heart sank. I was like,
yeah.
And then once she makes it in, she's met by Sutton, who asks her if she's wearing a condom, tells her that she's not going to get any STDs.
Yeah, she says, oh, this isn't rubber, this is rubber, not.
But did you, exactly, because Dorit's just like, I feel like Dorit used to like laugh a lot of stuff off for the sake of just haha. She's just not having it. She was like, she really like took note, like, listen, Sutton, this is what she's saying. This is plastic, not rubber.
Yeah.
And she had like almost monster face on. She's pissed.
She's in a different space for sure.
For sure. And then Sutton makes comment and says, I don't know about that outfit. I'm pretty sure she went to the wrong wing of the museum.
Right.
And then we meet Bose. What about Bose?
What a
goddess. I mean, an absolute goddess and a big time boss. She is a big time boss. But also she just seems really fun and cool and down to earth. And I just could not, I mean, I fell in love with her. I was like, I fell in love with her. And also I feel like I'm very much like her. She says that she knows if she likes someone right away.
Exactly. I thought the same thing. I was you can talk to someone for 2 minutes and go, you're my people, or you're not. See you later.
Yes, exactly.
For sure.
She starts talking to Dorit, who just unloaded everything that was happening in her personal life. I mean, there was no holding back.
Yeah.
Bose says she can relate that her and her husband were actually separated.
And he passed, or he got sick.
Yeah. And while they were separated, he got sick.
And they reconciled, and then he passed away.
I mean, that's rough.
Yeah. And they have the same birthday or some.
Or no, they're both 57.
Or both. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're the same age. And obviously those two are immediate kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Then Garcelle gets there with Amanda de Cadenet. Do you know who she is?
No.
She's kind of like been on the periphery of Hollywood for like a while. I mean, like years. She was married to some big rocker. I don't remember who. She may still be married to that rocker. But anyway, Garcelle and Amanda show up. Dorit is instantly put off because she says the last time she saw Garcelle,
right,
Garcelle insinuated that her home invasion actually didn't happen. And I gotta say, if I was the fucking victim of a home invasion and some broad
questioned it, and somebody
was trying to shade that and trying to make me out to be a liar, I would probably want to go for their throat. I mean, that would take a whole lot of presence and meditation to, that's their issue, not mine. Let them say what they want. But that would be triggering.
Mm-hmm. And doesn't Garcelle say hello to her, and, which to Dorit?
Did she say hi to her?
I think she said hello or something about commented on her outfit. I think so.
Oh, what she said is, I am not going to comment about that disc on her head. I am keeping things light. She said, I am not commenting about her disc, that disc on her head. I am not, which I had to say was pretty hilarious too.
Yeah.
And then we're in the car with Kyle and Erica, who I thought the two of them looked amazing.
Amazing. Kyle looks amazing.
Amazing. She should have called herself Bambi that night. I mean, she was part of the forest. And Erica had like the perfect outfit on too for that.
Always.
I mean, honestly, she always gets
always. Dorit taking off her disc off and on. I was surprised because usually she's got it going too. And she wasn't,
Oh my God, the way she kept putting on that hat. Someone who's walking in, they've got to see the hat.
Got to see the hat. No, yeah, I was surprised she kept taking it off.
No, but Erica always understands the assignment, like every single time.
For sure.
Then Erica and Kyle go and get some food. They take their food back to a table. They take a seat. And then they're joined by Garcelle, who asks, how's life? And Kyle goes, oh, well, And then she starts telling them about all the big changes that have been happening. Mo moving out, the other daughter moving out. And then she goes on to say, and I also really wanted to talk to you guys tonight. And
she didn't need to say any of this, I thought. This
to me was
covering her ass.
This was so contrived.
Yep.
This was just fake ass shit.
Totally.
And then she goes, and since I feel safe with you, I'm going to start with you because I feel safe. And then she brings up, there were all those tabloids in the store and stories last year. And then that person whose name I'm not going to say.
And Garcelle says, you mean Morgan? We've all been with her.
Yeah. Garcelle's like, huh? That person we're not going to talk about?
Yeah.
I mean, hello, she's been on the show.
Right.
Can we talk about that?
Right.
She's been on the show, but now we can't talk about her.
Yeah.
And it's not right for her to talk about anyone else. Okay. Kyle says, well, there's just nothing to say. And Garcelle says, so you're not with her? And she says, no. And I'm not. And she says, but the tabloids created just such an incredible amount of pressure and emotional distress. And the media scrutiny was just so bad. And Garcelle goes, well, that music video didn't help either.
Exactly.
I mean, this is why, once again, I'm really falling in love with Garcelle, because I mean, it wasn't even like she wasn't being rude to Kyle, but she like wasn't letting her get away with this bullshit narrative. You know what I mean? Don't act like you didn't play a part in that, Kyle. You played a huge part in that. You're going to sit there and be the co-star in a lesbian romantic.
Weren't they in the bathtub?
Music video where you're like in a bathtub and
they're singing about snorting cocaine.
I'm gonna make you fall in love with me, and when I call you and you're on a boat with your family. I mean, have you heard the lyrics to that song?
Yeah, isn't there cocaine getting snorted off of a belly at the Chateau Marmont?
Well, I didn't hear that line, but now I'm gonna have to go back and listen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do not.
Yeah, that was a bunch of bullshit, Kyle.
I'm gonna make you fall in love with me.
Right?
I mean, it was a lot.
She did, I think.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. She says, Garcelle says, it felt like you were playing coy. And Kyle says, listen, it wasn't just myself I was considering. It's not my place to talk about other people. But Morgan is an out and out lesbian. So it's not like she would be just, disclosing
right.
That wasn't public knowledge. I mean, she's had previous girlfriends in the past. This is not a reach in any way.
Yeah.
And then she says, and also I'm still figuring things out for myself. I still am. What I said last time when we were together was so much for me to say. I still can't even believe that I said that. And then they cut back to the reunion where Andy asked Kyle if she could ever see herself being in a relationship with Morgan. And Kyle said, I don't know. I'm evolving and I'm changing, obviously. I'm clearly going through an evolution of my own, and I don't know what my future holds. And Andy says, so it's not a no.
You're right.
And then they cut to confessional current day, and she says, I have never, never questioned my sexuality in my life, ever. But I think that all this crazy speculation actually did make me think twice. So hold on.
You're saying
The speculation is making you contemplate. I don't know. Doesn't that seem
she's just reaching?
Wacko Jacko to you?
Yeah, she's just reaching.
I mean, take ownership for your
right.
shit. Maybe say, you know, I was introduced to people and I started spending time with people and you know, I saw that maybe that was a way of life that I was open to living, but let's not make it about the speculation.
Right.
Speculation doesn't make you gay. It doesn't make you gay curious. It doesn't make you bi. Speculation is just speculation.
Mm-hmm. And we saw what you were doing all summer.
Yeah. Did the speculation is what made you do the documentary, follow her around, you know what I mean?
Go to Africa.
I mean, also, why is Morgan hiding in the pictures in Africa?
Exactly.
Does that not fuel speculation?
Of course. I know. So crazy.
Ridiculous.
Goodbye, Kyle.
Good. Well, it's
well, then Dorit shows up and says, hello, Kyle.
Exactly. I literally have that in my notes.
It was so funny.
So funny.
And she comes in with her tone. Dorit was ready to rock and roll with Kyle.
Yeah. And then she says, but before we get to that big entrance, she says, Kyle says, it was really scary to even admit to myself. Erica says, but to do so publicly, and not just that, but to do so publicly and to your family. And Kyle says, well, I told my daughters at first. Erica says, to say that out loud is a really big deal. And then Kyle to camera says, she didn't want her girls to be embarrassed embarrassed of her or angry with her. And she didn't want them to think less of her. And she's crying. And then she goes on to say,
Portia.
Yeah.
Portia says, Mom, you could never say anything or do anything for us to feel differently about you.
I know. And then I just sat there with tears running down my face, really thinking that that's all anybody wants is to be met, no matter what they're going through in life, with just that unconditional. It's also a testament to the fact that if you're just honest with people, you will have less speculation
and more
acceptance.
Right.
That the mind fuck is your own.
Right? Exactly.
And then Garcelle goes on to say, thank you for sharing this with me. I completely respect that. And whatever you decide to do, I fully support you. Then from around the corner, Dorit makes her big entrance in her big hat.
Hello, Kyle.
Hello, Kyle. I mean, did you by chance see the Beverly Hills? Did you see the after show on this?
Not yet.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if it was the lighting or if she had more work done since they filmed, but Dorit has never looked better.
Well, they say divorce, you know, we have a girlfriend who was getting a divorce and all of a sudden we started calling her 2.0. We're like, what's happening with you? They lose weight. You know,
they level up.
And and her mind is they level up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you hear that? I guess someone else was raving about the way Dorit looked and what's her face? Sutton goes, well, anybody can look pretty. Somebody called her pretty. And she says, well, anyone can look pretty with enough plastic surgery.
I love Sutton.
And then I don't remember who said it and then someone else said, oh, I think Dorit said back to her, then why doesn't she get some?
That's great. That's great.
So great. Then so Dorit comes around the corner, big attitude, big hat with the big hello, Kyle. And Kyle stands up and then says, I can't really hug you because of all this. And then Dorit goes, well, this is a weapon, so just be careful.
Right? Yeah.
I'm telling you, gloves are off with Dorit.
Totally.
Well, and now it's probably gloves are off even more if you think about it. If she knows that she's not going to have the support, if she knows that she's going to be a single lady with kids, she needs to stay on this show. So, you know, she's going to pull out all the stops.
Right.
Then Bose and Amanda join the table. Then Sutton saunters up, and everyone is just, it's like ox sauce everywhere. Everyone is just dying inside. So much so that Sutton and Garcelle decide that they can't take it anymore, and they get
head to the bar.
To the bar.
I love Garcelle. We're going to get a shot.
Exactly. And then as soon as they leave, Kathy Hilton, thank God, she comes up. She could break the tension anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? In that fucking seafoam green feathered concoction of hers. I mean, she is really the true Mrs. Roper.
And she sits down and she says, I'm so hot, and starts taking out her extensions.
And literally started to almost have like a heat stroke or a panic attack. She was shaking. Did you see her hand?
I mean, the extensions aren't making you hot, right? It was maybe a panic attack,
but she wanted those fucking things out of her hair.
And they're happening now. It was great. I love her.
And did you see that Bose reacting to her? She was so hilarious.
Yeah, she says, I've never seen this in my life.
She goes, if my wig was falling off, it could be like this. And I would just sit here like this. She's just taking him out. She goes, when I tell you, I've never seen this in my life. I've never. She felt it. She was genuinely shocked. I love her.
Same.
But before that, Kathy goes, I know who you are.
Yep.
Right? I know who you are. And called her a boss. And did you see everybody like panic? Like,
says, no, it's Bose.
And she's like, no.
She's a boss.
Yeah, she's a boss. And I love Bose because she was like, no, I know what she means.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that was so funny. Then Sutton introduces her entertainment.
Oh, yes.
Who honestly reminded me of like a knockoff Erica Jane.
For sure. That's why Erica was feeling it.
Also, you have to I just appreciate Erica. She knows what it's like to be up there on stage.
You go, girls.
And it's exactly, she cracked me up. But you know, you give the support because you know you want the support.
For sure.
And then when the show was over, Kyle, firstly, did you see Kathy Hilton dancing during that too?
Yeah.
I mean, she is just, she could have her own show just dancing. Like,
I know.
Dancing is comedy gold.
Yeah.
And then when it's over, Kyle approaches Dorit and says, can we talk for a minute? And Dorit says so kindly, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And then as soon as they settle, she starts again, Kyle. And I just sat there thinking, oh, here we go again.
And Kyle doesn't know what to do with this new Dorit.
Kyle is tripping out on the whole thing. Kyle says, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm really sorry to hear about you and PK. And then also, I think that you and I both have a lot of hurt feelings and different thoughts about everything that happened. And Dorit's going, yeah. And Kyle says, I know that what hurt you the most was obviously when I said what I said on the Amazon live about us not being that close. And she goes, well, actually, Kyle, that was just the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
I had just finally had enough of feeling like I was tossed around and just used whenever you want, thrown away. And Kyle's like, what?
She's looking. She's looking around.
Yeah.
She's like, what?
Yeah, she goes, what are you talking about?
Right.
How are you even saying this?
Right.
And Dorit goes on, you made me feel like I needed to reevaluate whether or not we were even friends. And Kyle says, listen, if you're only going to be aggressive and not open, she goes, I'm here trying to have this conversation so that we can get to the other side. And Dorit says, well, then let's try and start.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to take a long time, and we're going to have to start being very honest, very honest. And Kyle says, I'm going to need you to listen. And Dorit says, this is hysterical. I'm fed up, Kyle. And this is the kind of bullshit that I'm talking about. I mean,
it's amazing.
I mean, and truthfully, I feel like we are at I feel like we have watched this cast and really truthfully anchored by a lot of them for a long time now. You know what I mean? These are poor girls in Beverly Hills, but we've seen them go through so much now. I feel like it's almost like they've been cocooned. We've seen this cocoon version, and I feel like everybody is at this point right now,
awakening,
where they are awakening and they are flying and they are becoming more. So it's almost like they're like, we're getting almost like a whole new cast without getting a whole new cast.
Right.
Because they're doing so much growth and becoming different versions of themselves, and which makes it kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I mean? It's like growth. It's like totally seeing growth.
Exactly.
Which, you know, you don't get on all the other.
No.
Some are very void of growth.
Yeah, New York is no one's watching New York.
Well, and like I was thinking, New Jersey is very void of growth. I mean, we've watched Teresa bang her forehead against the wall with the same mindset and the same approach and the same mentality for how long now? That's why, like, it's important to see people evolve and not.
Right. She the other night on Watch What Happens Live.
Did you see that? I mean, and I can't believe we didn't talk about this at the top. We were
stuck. She
is stuck. She is stuck. And that's why that's why the conversation always goes back to the same exact,
and you could see it in Andy's face when he was questioning her.
Because he's done with it.
He's like, really? You're still fighting with Marge? Like, the things about Margaret, we've heard it 1,000 times. No one gives a shit anymore.
No. And the way she answered questions, the way she positioned herself, the way she kept referring to herself, I just kept thinking, sweetie, you're going to be in for a rude awakening really soon, because I know people are like on the fence about the fact that she was in the second seat position. And I know that Potomac is airing right now, so that is a factor. But I also think that Teresa in her heyday was such a Bravo staple and queen that I don't think they would have put Teresa on in the position of second position. I think
for sure. And
I don't think that would have happened.
Now he's referring to her as Teresa from House of Villains, which that's what she's on right now.
Exactly. Okay. Anyway, now let's start Salt Lake City. And I have to tell you, going into this, I got to tell you, my notes, I did this in a hurry, so my notes are not extensive, but the show opened at Kimosabe, which I did not know.
Same.
I'm like, another Kimosabe?
Who knew?
I mean, I could have a lot of fun in that place.
Right.
Same. And also, I love any store that has a speakeasy attached, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can go wrong.
I would love to go to one.
I know.
I've only been to one.
They get their drinks, and then Lisa and Heather start talking about the Bronwyn of it all. And Lisa tells Heather about the fact that Todd did that big shakedown at
Well, Heather said, I heard that people were asked to leave if they weren't playing nice. But yeah, Lisa turns it around to, well, I think it's because if they're not gonna be on her side about not liking you, Heather.
I know, that was so inflammatory.
Yeah, a bunch of bullshit.
I mean, really fanning the flame.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're with Bronwyn and Todd. I mean,
wow. Right. He's a scary dad. He's like you go to sleepover, you go to someone's house and it's like, shit, your dad's scary.
Yeah, no, and he has a lot to say. She says, so what's going on? And he says, you tell me. And she says, well, I've really kind of been feeling a certain way since we got back about everything that went down. And he says, we've been together 10 years and I've never seen you behave like that before.
Which I think is huge.
And also probably a testament, right, to the fact that they only probably travel in his circles, right?
Yeah.
And like they or at least in a very selective group of people, because
right, who aren't bringing this Housewives bullshit to the
drama
table.
into their life. Exactly. He says that you were over there screaming in the spa. And she goes, well, I just don't know how to engage with these women when they go so low. And he says, well, you walk away.
Right.
You walk away with some dignity.
Right.
But like, what does that mean? Was she supposed to do that there when she was hosting them?
Exactly.
I mean, I thought she handled the whole thing very well,
very well.
How much, drama was swirling.
Yeah, she's great in all of this.
And then he goes on to tell her, and quite frankly, it's not very becoming.
Yeah.
And you could see, I mean, and then, you know what, truthfully, it made me think that it a little bit pissed me off at him, because he could have had this conversation with her off camera.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And did he not watch the show before they went on?
Why did he not have this conversation about, to say you're embarrassed of your spouse on national TV? I think, like, you saw her, she was fully hurt by it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't understand why he didn't save that for pillow talk. Like, hey babe, I just want to talk before we start filming today.
Right. Yeah, she's very well spoken, and she's putting these women in their place.
Putting them in her place, in their place.
I love it.
I love it. And then in confessional, she says, Todd's approval means a lot to me. It might mean everything to me.
Yeah.
Which, I think there's a lot more to Bronwyn. I love her.
Me too, but there's a lot of underlying stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot with Bronwyn, which I'm excited to get. I'm excited to get to know her more, because
I love her. Yeah, same. She's bringing it.
Well, also, I can't wait to see the hard stuff that she has dealt with that created the incredible person that she is today. Right.
Well, we saw one of it.
You're not born the way you are. You're created and crafted, and she clearly has done a lot of work.
Right.
Then we're with Angie and her dad, and she talks about her mom.
Oh, such a sweet dinner.
And
so
this
sad.
Was rough.
Yeah.
This was rough. And also, this is another perfect example of how once you learn someone's backstory, you really can understand more about why they are the way they are.
For sure.
And it's just so clear that, she's still wrestling with the demons of her mom. She's still struggling with the fact that she hasn't found peace around her mom. And, I mean, so hard.
And her mom being an alcoholic.
Yeah. And the fact that I was happy to hear her say that she's trying to wrap her head around the fact that she doesn't think that her mother would have chosen this road. You know what I mean? She's like struggling. But it's interesting to see the way in one breath she wishes that her mom would have tried harder. She kept saying, I wish she would have tried harder, with then the juxtaposition of, oh, I'm sure she would have chosen something different if she.
Well, her dad said that, I think because they just kept having kids, and then it became too much, because Angie's talking about how hard it is to be a mother.
Right. And you can see the way life works like that. You get married. So oftentimes you carry pain around, and then you get married thinking that's going to take away your pain. And then you think, oh, I'm going to have some kids. That's going to take away my pain.
And then they kept having them.
And you keep having them. And that's it all goes back to, until you heal the wound will continue to win. And so then she becomes an alcoholic to cope with the fact that now she doesn't just have that historical pain, but now she has all these other pressures. And it doesn't mean that you don't love your kids. It just means that
she doesn't have the tools to make it.
Yeah, she's lost in her pain, which makes me so sad. I mean, it's really sad. And I hope that Angie can have some empathy for her mother. It's so unfortunate.
I know.
Thank God she had the dad that she did.
Oh, the sweetest dad.
Just an absolute angel. Angel. And so heartbreak for Angie, though. The mother wound is like no other. And until you get right with it, that shit will haunt you.
Yeah. It's heavy.
And then it's time for Mary's breakfast at Tiffany's party. Which, I mean, what about the dudes at the front door?
The dudes, so many of them. There's 4 of them at the entry.
Dude, there's like 4 on each side.
It was hilarious.
Hilarious.
And Bronwyn's the first one to get there, and she walks in. She looks great.
She looked amazing.
Yeah, the bang pieces.
The bangs were everything.
And she walks into the house and nobody's there but her and the bartender. Not even Mary to greet them.
No, so she, walked over to get something that she could do with her hands. And then she's joined by Meredith, who comes in next with her own bang situation.
Oh my God.
Which was not nearly as good. No. I mean, what were those? She looked like someone hacked at her.
I felt like she had her
toddler did it.
Yeah, I felt like she had a ponytail and then she added the bang. Like it was.
That's exactly what it looked like.
I thought it was. It's horrible.
And then Mary comes downstairs and she lets us all know that when traumatic things are happening in her life. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we? Oh, that was last week when we saw that very traumatic things are happening in her life.
Oh my gosh.
Talk 1 second about that scene she had in the bedroom with her son and the girlfriend. And she's trying to talk to them and they're doing that weird
high as a kite.
Insane, like insane high.
It was so sad.
And she goes, so what's happening here? Are we just having an eating convention?
Yeah. It was so sad.
So tonight, Mary tells us that when traumatic things like that are happening, she likes to have big parties, have big events because it distracts her. Then Lisa shows up and she's in Tiffany blue, but I mean,
a jumpsuit that Mary had already worn.
Yeah.
On the red carpet.
Someone tells you to come as Audrey Hepburn and that's what you wear. Like a modern day, like high fashion tracksuit, but it was in Tiffany blue. So I mean,
but also when they were also in Palm Springs, she shows up to the anniversary party dressed down also.
Oh, down. And I thought she was the one that really likes to bring the fashion. She always talks about how fashionable she is.
Right.
Heather shows up and apparently she missed the memo too. I mean, she had that big old,
white on white.
White on white. Looked like a winter wonderland show she was going to.
Yeah.
Heather walks in, says hello to everyone but Bronwyn.
Snubs her.
Full snub. And Mary goes, you're not going to say hi to Bronwyn? And Mary goes, or Heather goes, no. Okay. And then Mary summons them all to the table. And when Angie sees that place card for Brittany, she comments, oh, I'm surprised to see this.
Yeah, right next to her.
And Mary says, well, I invited her so that she'll know that I wasn't poor.
Right.
So she'll know that I'm not poor.
Right.
And then Angie says that, did you see this part? Angie says Abraham Lincoln had Versace plates.
Right, because they're commenting on the Versace plates. And she said, well, Abraham Lincoln.
It was his wedding china, she says.
Yeah.
His wedding china?
And they said Versace was not born
when
Abraham Lincoln was. And she says, well, let's Google it. And they're like, we're not.
Embarrassing. Then Brittany shows up in her white blazer with, again, no Audrey influence at all.
None.
Then Heather thanks Mary, gives a little toast and thanks Mary for the invite and says it's so wonderful that everyone was invited. Much unlike what happened in the Palm Springs, the Palm Desert trip. And then Whitney says, Mary, can we break bread?
Yeah. and then Mary says something to Brittany about don't put that in your purse, or you could shove that in your purse.
Yes. And don't Brittany put that in your purse.
Right. And she says, well, it won't fit anyways.
I know. And then Brittany makes a comment about not getting invited. She goes, oh, everyone looks very tan. Most of you look very tan, implying that they got that sun in Palm Desert.
Right.
She talks about the fact that she didn't get invited. And not only that, but she didn't get invited to anything. And then no one's called her. No one's checked on her. The last thing she got was Angie coming to her church event a few weeks ago and then complains because remember when she brought that bottle of wine?
Which is such a bullshit. She's trying to put her down. And they said, well, you're drinking right now. You're drinking champagne right now. You do drink.
Yeah, you do drink. And I was impressed with Whitney, the fact that she piped up and said, are you really mad at her for bringing the wine? Or are you just more upset with the fact that it showed everyone that you indeed drink?
Exactly.
Turned you off as a drinker. And Heather said, yes, Heather confirmed that that's indeed what it was. She said that she used to go through the exact same thing.
Right.
And then did you hear Mary say that Jared, what about the fact that Angie goes, hold on, you're upset about a bottle of wine while you're doing 3 different dudes?
Exactly. And drinking champagne right now.
Yes.
And then Mary says,
and Mary goes, Jared's in my DMs.
And it shows Jared DMing Mary.
I mean, to die. Die. And then what about Mary's response? I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I got enough going on in my life.
Exactly. She doesn't even need to say it. But
I almost died.
That was amazing.
Then everyone says, Brittany, I don't know why you're so upset about not being invited. And I don't understand why you would think that you would after all the horrible things that you said about Bronwyn and her husband.
Right.
And then Heather brings up Bronwyn not having a prenup again. And Bronwyn tells her that she'd better back off. And she was serious. She says, you don't even know my husband, but you have opined multiple times on what he should or should not have done. And Heather says, opined? Oh, pray tell Shakespeare.
Right.
And then she goes, I know 3 things about your husband. I know he doesn't have a prenup with you. I know he likes to collect Starbucks mugs. And I know that he's an asshole when he goes on couples trips. And then Mary goes, listen, what I do know is that Bronwyn cares. And Heather says, well, if she cared, then why didn't she invite me? And Bronwyn says, I did try to invite you. And not only did I do that, but I actually booked you a first-class flight on the way home. And Heather goes, well, how in God's name could you book me a flight home when you don't even know my birthday? And she goes, well, to be honest, I asked someone for your birthday. And she goes,
and then Whitney's picking up her phone at that time.
Yeah, because she says, well, that's impossible because none of them know my real birthday. I've lied to all of them. And Mary looks at her like she was wacko city. Like, why would you?
Because why would you?
Why would you? That's the strangest thing. So that's what I mean. Like, Heather is weird like that. What she does this in one breath, she wants to be transparent and she wants to this and that, but she's not. And why would we even need to create something out of nothing? I'm going to hide my birthday. Why? What's the why? I just want to know.
Right.
And why, whatever the why is, it reminds me of the I. I mean,
why in the I?
Unnecessary lies.
Exactly.
I lied to all of them, and she says it proudly. And then when the producers ask her when her birthday is, she
none of your fucking business.
Also, P.S., let's talk about this. Haven't they gone on trips before?
Yeah. Or have they?
So, and I know that production books their trips, right? Production books their trips. Also, P.S., you can't get a job without disclosing your birthday and providing documents to back it up. So it's not like, and I know that Bravo has purchased airfare tickets for her before, and so they must know her real birthday. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bronwyn just didn't go to a producer and say, what's her birthday? Because production has to know to book her flights.
Yeah. And then Bronwyn says, look, I booked you a flight. And Heather says, give me the phone. And she goes, and then Bronwyn says to Heather, I'll text it to you and you can memorize it.
I mean, it was wild.
Yeah. Heather's getting her ass handed to her.
And then Bronwyn said, and then that set off a whole conversation about everyone's tickets home and like how they were just so incensed that they were in Coach. I mean, honestly, you're not paying for anything.
And that's exactly what Bronwyn said. She goes, sorry that you were in 19A for 67 minutes.
Yeah. After she says, I flew you guys there on a private plane. I provided 5-star accommodations. I got your husband's gifts. I got you gifts. I took you to Indy. And you can't sit in Coach for 67 minutes or whatever it was. And then Heather goes, Well, let me ask you a question then. If it's not a big deal to sit and coach for 67 minutes, then why in God's name weren't you in coach? And she goes, because I used my own fucking credit card. That's why.
Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's
it was my goddamn credit card, period.
Yeah.
And Heather's mouth literally, I mean, visibly just dropped. I mean, you could see it. It was like
Angie went like
disconnected.
Yeah. Fuck
so
yeah, Bronwyn.
Good. So good. Then Bronwyn says, there's no getting through a problem with Heather because the goalposts are constantly moving with Heather. And then Heather says, listen,
proves it.
And that's exactly true. And
now
then
she's going to prove it.
Yeah. And then Bronwyn says, listen, I just think that you're hell-bent on not wanting to fix it. And Heather says, I'm just fiercely protective of my friends. And when new people try to come in the group, I'm really weary. But was she weary of her girlfriend, Brittany?
No, she's hazing Bronwyn.
Yeah, it's because she's threatened by Brittany, or by Bronwyn.
Exactly.
She's not threatened by Brittany in any way.
No, not at all.
But she can't say that about Bronwyn because she is like crazy. I think she is just genuinely afraid of having someone take her and bump her out of her top dog spot.
Same. That's why she's trying to come at her to beat her, but she can't beat her. She's not going to beat her with words or anything.
No. And also just it feels like she's trying too hard and reaching and making mountains out of molehills, and it's starting to feel desperate.
It's exactly what's happening.
Then suddenly the two women start to concur that they got off on the wrong foot, and they, in the end, both agree to start on a clean slate moving forward.
Yep.
And then they even share a toast, and everyone starts clapping because they're relieved. And then that freaking wackadoodle nuthead Brittany stands up and says, seriously, you guys, seriously, what about me?
Totally.
And then she goes, now there's just some kumbaya moment across the table. And Angie looks at her and goes, you're feeling left out. And she goes, yes.
And then Bronwyn's in the corner going, she needs a dog. She needs someone that's going to love her unconditionally.
Exactly. And then she goes, seriously, I'm so sick of this. I would like to have a sit down in some kind of big kumbaya moment. And Mary hilariously, with her perfect timing, goes, well, we're all sitting down and you have the floor.
I love it.
And then Lisa says, Brittany, if you want a kumbaya moment, maybe you should just say, I'm sorry to Bronwyn. And then like right on cue, she goes, Bronwyn, I'm officially sorry for the mean things I said about your husband. And Bronwyn goes, okay, because everyone told you had to say that, or because you really feel that way? And Brittany goes, it's because I feel that way. And Bronwyn goes, okay. And then Brittany goes, I'm really glad we're having this conversation. I actually really needed this. I'm telling you, ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong.
Whack-a-doo.
Ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong.
For sure.
And then Mary starts preaching about friendship and growing together and tells everyone to get it out and then let's move forward from this night on. And then, so Angie goes, well, I don't want to pile on, but I want to talk to Meredith. And Meredith says, I'm sure she does. And then Heather goes, we're going to need more wine.
Yeah.
And Mary says, okay, come on, let's go. So Angie says, I want to move forward with you, but I'm having unresolved feelings since Palm Springs regarding that whole podcast thing with Sean. And Meredith says, I was just trying to address something that was never addressed, and it was regarding my child. I'm sure if the same thing was happening with, what's her name?
Her daughter, Alexis. Or
Alexa.
Something. Yeah. Her daughter.
Her daughter. I'm sure if something was happening with your daughter, you would understand. Athena?
No. No.
Meredith says, you were trying to go backwards, and I don't want to go backwards. And if we do go backwards, it's not going to be pretty for anybody.
Yeah, Meredith.
Mafia shit.
Right.
Like we're talking like Louis.
Hello, Angie's in the Greek mafia. Look out, Heather.
And then
Meredith.
Then Angie says, is that a threat? And Meredith says, didn't I just say that I didn't want to go backwards? And then the table just went full tilt.
Well, she said she didn't want to go backwards, but then she said, let's go,
I know she was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then Angie brings up what Meredith said about her husband, alluding to Sean being gay, and then goes on to say that the LGBTQ community came after Meredith hard when she said that she would never say that because her son is gay.
Right.
And Meredith, you could tell Meredith is up against the wall at this point.
Yeah. She
keeps getting louder and louder, and then she goes, oh, fine. And then she pulls out her phone with an audio recording of Sean on the Velvet Rope podcast where he wasn't even really saying anything.
No, he was asked a question. Bad. No, he didn't say anything at all. And you know what? These things and all these housewives, things that we have to deal with now, and they're doing it in New York, things that happen off camera that we don't see or listen to. Who listens to that podcast? So...
Right.
So yeah. So Whitney grabs her phone from her.
Yeah. And did you see the level of panic in her body?
Yeah.
I mean, she was about to dive over that table.
She says, quit scrolling my phone. And Whitney says, I'm turning down the volume, Meredith.
You only react like that to your phone being taken if you've got some shady shit on it.
Dirty.
100%. That was panic mode. There's no other reason.
For sure.
Otherwise, it's just a phone. Who cares?
Yeah.
What can she do with it?
Yeah.
Look at it a little bit closer.
Right.
So funny. Then Mary starts screaming at both of them and tells them to be, I just got a text. On last week's pod, I was talking about the fact that we've been so stressed around here because we weren't sure if Brian was going to make it back for Thanksgiving.
For Wicked?
We're going to see Wicked, Oh my God. And Ryan just said, she sent it to Snook Party of 5. Okay, turkeys, I'm in.
I meant to ask you in the beginning of this.
Oh my God. That is the best news.
Totally.
That's so cute.
I love it.
Oh, I'm so excited. It really would have been the biggest first world problem in the world. Oh my God.
No,
to go or not to go, but it would have ripped my heart out to sit there. I would not have been able to enjoy it as much because it would have been like looming.
Of course.
And now I get to have all three of them. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay, where were we?
So now Meredith.
Oh, she pulled out the phone. She got the phone. Yeah, well, anyway, now I want to know what else is on that phone.
Same.
Mary starts screaming at both of them and tells them to be quiet, but they don't stop, neither one of them. And then Mary says, if you can't stop screaming, then then get out of here. And so Meredith stands up.
Yeah, or she says, fine, you're kicking me out.
She's so dramatic.
Her
and those bangs, they really were something.
Those bangs.
So wild. Mary says, really? You're going to leave? And Meredith says, well, I'm sorry, but you hurt me. I just got attacked for the 8,000th time by this group, and I have to go. She is such a perpetual victim.
Always.
Oh my God. It doesn't matter what the situation is. She is the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And then she storms out and Mary says, thank you, Lord.
Yeah. I love Mary.
And she says, this is Audrey Hepburn, or what'd you say? This is Breakfast at Tiffany's, not the Flintstones.
Yes, her bangs. But she had Pebbles bangs.
Oh, well, that's exactly what they were.
Truth.
That is so funny.
Mary this season is the Mary we all deserve. She is so good.
I feel like she's so good this season that she was worth waiting for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like this blossom was worth all of that time that she was cocooning and acting like a weirdo. The way she was sitting up there at that lunch, you know, just speaking to the women about priorities and growth. And I was like, what is happening here?
For sure.
Absolutely incredible.
So it was great. It was good stuff.
So good. So anyway, darling, well, let me just tell you, this is the last time we are on until after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Do you guys have big plans for the holidays or for Thanksgiving?
My mother's coming and Beverly is dog and house sitting, so she'll go with her and stay there that night. So
oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, we're cooking and just, you know,
hanging out. Well, I mean, obviously now I have all three of the girls that are going to be here and I am so excited. And also, I think next week what I'm doing for a pod, because I think we should be off for Thanksgiving, I think. But either way, I'm going to do a sit down with the girls and have them do a question and answer with me.
Yes.
And so, because it's so rare that I get the three of them in the same pod.
Yes.
It really is. And with like undivided attention where they know, you know, there's only like a few days of the year where they can't go anywhere else. You know what I mean? They can't, oh, I'm going over to my friends now. Nope, sorry, full day with your mom. That's it.
I love it. I can't wait to see it.
But anyway, I am, let's just take this moment to say that I am so thankful for you guys, the audience. You are amazing. I am so thankful for you, my love. Thank you so much for spending so much of your time with me. I love you, love you, love you.
I love you. I love you so much. Right back at you.
All right, Angel, we will see you soon. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? And I mean, you guys, Christy is doing the most amazing things with her succulents.
I really am.
These
I'm
days.
running an empire over here in the Bay Area.
Yes, she is. So tell everybody where they can reach that empire.
On Instagram, Christy Mays Garage.
That's where you can find our girl. We love her. All right, sweetheart. I will talk to you soon. Have a happy turkey day.
Mwah. Love you.
Bye. Okay, everybody, that about does it for this episode of Generally Speaking. But before we go, I want to dial down on the personal development portion of the pod for just a minute. So I have a friend of one of my very closest friends, and she is a therapist. She has her master's in psychotherapy and, you know, marriage and family and all that stuff. And she posted something the other day, and it says, with more mental health knowledge and more people seeking therapy than ever, we're still mentally unwell as a society. This is because we're not empowering people to understand their bodies and the root cause of mental and physical disease. Okay? Steph didn't write that. She reposted something by the holistic psychologist. And I responded to Steph and said, because this is a really big focus of mine, spiritual health. So I responded to that and said, it's actually because we're leaving it all up to mental health and physical health and not paying attention to spiritual health. But of course we can't, because the government can't quantify the spirit, so they ignore it. But until spiritual health becomes just as important as mental and physical, we're not going to be moving forward as a society. And by spiritual, I do not mean religious. One could learn and practice every aspect of mental health, but without the spiritual component, one can't complete the trifecta and cross over into their actual abundance and find their personal freedom. There is the mind, the body, and the spirit. And there is only one of those that we can't live without. Yet it's the one that gets nearly zero attention, even though it is our energetic connection to source itself. So the point is, you guys, we are made of mind, body, and spirit. And it is so important to keep your spirit in good shape and to nourish it and feed it and give it what it needs. You know, so oftentimes we think mental health and we equate that with our happiness, but you can't think yourself happy, right? That just, life doesn't work that way. And then we start to think, wait a minute, I'm smart. I should be able to have this all figured out. And we try to make it like a brain game. Like, how can I be smart and understand that you need these things and still be miserable inside? It's because of the spiritual component. It is because there is a third part, your mind, your body, and your spirit. And it's true what I said. You could go into a hospital and be kept alive if your mind stops working or if your brain stops working. And the same goes if your body gives out and stops working. They have machines that can keep you alive. But the truth is, if your spirit leaves, that's it. Game over. It is kaput at that point. So anyway, as we walk into this Thanksgiving week, please make sure that you stay grounded in gratitude and rooted in love. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. If you have been watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you reach out and smash that subscribe button. If you've been listening on your favorite streaming platform, please make sure that you reach out and give us a follow, leave us a message, give us a 5-star rating. We would love that. Share us with your family, share us with your friends. If you would like to collaborate, you can reach me at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. And you can reach me on socials, on TikTok at This Is Jenerally Speaking, and on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. All right, everybody, I have loved spending this time with you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And until we are together again, stay rooted in love. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.